What is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 231 of the Michael Lab Show. We are here on a beautiful Tuesday. October is upon us. September is behind us. And that means the holidays are ahead of us. And 2021 has been it's been an eventful year. It's been an easy year, honestly. It's been a year. I was talking to somebody in class, and we were just talking about school. Like how's school going, and it's weird. Like there's this mutual understanding where no one's really talking about school. Like everyone in my classes and everything, we're just kind of there doing it, whatever, in person, wearing masks, whatever. But like there's this just weird feeling. There's like this weird feeling of being there. It's like no, the teachers don't want to be there, and maybe that's just the classes I'm in. Maybe I'm just in like business classes. So it's like across the board, the classes kind of seem to just fall into place and they're all kind of the same. But just overall, the feeling is like, what are we doing? You know, it's like, what are we doing in person? It's good to be in person. Do we have to be in person? Why are we in person? What are we doing in person? Should we just stay online? Like I have 3 classes and it took a week for one of my classes, like we never even met. Like the teacher, I don't know. I don't want to say anything wrong, but like I think that I don't know exactly what happened. But the teacher never showed up. So I think she was probably pretty sick. I don't think she was feeling too well. But she never showed up, and when we got a teacher replaced, which was amazing because if we didn't get a teacher replaced, I would be one short of a credit, which means I wouldn't be able to graduate, which means I would lose my mind if I had to do a whole extra semester of school because the school couldn't replace the professor. I would have went full Karen. Like I would have been a Karen in that school. They would have hated me because I need to graduate, man. It's weird. It's the only thing in my life, and I know I talk about it all the time, but literally graduating college is the only thing in my life I never thought I could do. I think I can do anything else. And I don't know if that's me just being a full-blown narcissist or that's just confidence. I don't know what that is exactly, but I literally feel like I can do anything else that in the world I can do. But I never saw myself graduating college. I never saw myself even going to college. Even when I'm in college, I never see myself graduating college. So if I've done all the right steps in my last semester to graduate and I couldn't graduate because we couldn't find a teacher for a class, I would have lost my mind. But it is fascinating that we are here and we're in October and I have 2 months left of school, 2.5 months left of school, and I will be a free man. I'm already looking for jobs. I actually had an interview, I think 2 weeks ago with a company out in Roanoke. It was a finance company, like an asset management company. I'm not really like full in on anything yet. I'm just kind of playing the field. Ideally, I would want a decent paying job. You know, the money I make now is super basic. Like it's not a lot of money, right? I'm working basically a college gig, and I'm working full time, but I'm still working a college gig. So the money I make pays for college. It's enough money for me to invest in, but I've learned to deal with this. I don't know what that is. 4 images. See if I can pull that up on my laptop real quick. 1 second, friends. Oh. I don't really care about that. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Do not care. Do not care. Do not care. Focusing on the podcast. I've learned to deal with like the amount of money I make, and the amount of money I make is okay. But I've been able to kind of live my life and be very fulfilled with it. So if I just get paid a little bit more anywhere, like that right there will make me happy. Like I have great money habits. I have great spending habits. I have great investment habits, great saving habits. Like the money thing doesn't really concern me. Like the only thing I really want to do is get a job where I can have ultimate freedom and I can also make a decent living, and I don't feel like tied down anywhere. That's the ultimate goal. And I also want to make enough so I can pay rent, not just for an apartment, but also for a studio, because ideally I would love to get like a full-on podcast studio. Depending on where Taylor and I move, like rent won't be that much like to live, but if I can get a nice business studio where I can put a podcast set up and just have like a nice little hangout spot for me, that would be the ultimate goal, to have something like that. If we can get an apartment that's big enough, then I can just throw an extra studio in there. But I don't know. I probably won't be able to do that. But so yeah, that's where I am with school. A kid in my class actually found I was emailing him back and forth about an assignment that we had to do, and he actually found the podcast, and he said he really liked it, and he watched it on YouTube, which is cool because most people don't watch the podcast on YouTube. Like the podcast audience, like if you guys can see it, it's not, I don't get that many views on my podcast on YouTube, but the podcast does pretty well on audio platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. That's the main place where my podcast does the best. But it's also fascinating, like how many kids are listening to my podcast in my classes, and like do any of them who I used to have class with listen to the podcast? Because especially like during lockdown, I had all this stuff behind me. I had this sign right here, this Michael Labs podcast, and I wonder. I had a few kids ask me while we were in class, "Hey, do you got a podcast?" And I would say, "Yeah." But there's so much to listen to out there. Like that's one of the biggest, not issues. I think it's a great thing to have, but you live in a day and age where there's so much content out there, whether it's on, like, not just are you looking for something to watch, but what platform do you watch? Like, do you watch HBO Max? Do you watch Discovery Plus, Paramount Plus? And then that's not even like talking about Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, like these dominant players. Like, who do you listen to? Do you just watch YouTube? Like for me, my streaming platform of choice is definitely Netflix. It's pretty much all I watch. I watch Netflix. If I even, like, I'm not really big into TV. Like Taylor and I, we are probably one of the only people left that just watch regular TV. She watches Office, which is normally on Comedy Central, but she'll also watch it on Peacock Plus. She just does the little talk to the remote thing, so wherever it comes up, that's where she goes. But like we were talking about, like when we get an apartment together, are we gonna have a TV? And I was like, I don't know. Like I don't know if we will. And she was like, we could just use a laptop. Like that's what we did when she lived in Blacksburg. I didn't have a TV. Well, I did have a TV in Towson, but it was kind of a shared cable bill. But yeah, I don't know. And I was listening to David Foster Wallace, who is a author. He's a brilliant author, and I've been listening to him a lot lately. Lex Friedman uploaded a podcast. Lex Friedman is a MIT robotic researcher, and he has an amazing podcast called the Lex Friedman Podcast. And he has these brilliant guests on. And he had a guest on, let me look him up, Lex Friedman, Sean, nope, podcast. I just want to make sure I get it right. He had Sean Kelly, who is a professor at Harvard. Professor, there he is. Yeah, Sean Dorrance Kelly. He's an American philosopher currently at Teresa G. and Ferdinand Magabata, professor at philosophy of Harvard University, where he also serves faculty dean of Dunster House. He's an expert on phenomenology and philosophy of mind. But they were talking about certain philosophers, everybody from Nietzsche to Kierkegaard to who's a Nazi? Who's it? Oh God, Martin Heidegger, Socrates. Just everybody. Camus, Ayn Rand. But they were talking about this guy named David Foster Wallace, who I've never heard before in my life, and he wasn't specifically a philosopher. So if you just Google him, he was an American author, novels, short stories, and essays, university professor of English and creative writing. He's widely known for his 1996 novel Infinite Jest, which Time magazine cited as one of the best English novel languages from 1923 to 2005. But he's a brilliant mind, and they were just talking about him. And I think the reason why I was most fascinated with him is because he committed suicide. Not saying like I'm not a fan of people who, I'm not a fan or I'm not against, like I have a fascination with people who are brilliant minds and decide to end their lives, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Like if you're really smart, I think ideally people would say, well, why would you kill yourself? Why would you take your life if you're really smart? If you're really smart, you should be able to figure out why you're sad or why you're depressed or why you're anxious or why things don't make sense. And I can kind of relate to this because when things get when you're somebody who, not that you're smarter than the average person, but you don't have the ability to shrug things off that the average person would just be able to shrug off their back. Where you get very obsessed in something, there's a problem, and you constantly, or every single day you wake up, you got a pickaxe and a shovel, and you're going at it. You're trying to fix the problem. You're trying to figure out the problem. You're trying to philosophize the problem. You're trying to figure out where it came from, why it came from, why does it exist here where this problem existed 100 years ago. And you're just constantly in this like you're like a bowling ball going down the lane, and you're just constantly hitting the gutters. And like, if you're that person, and those people tend to be people who have higher IQs or they're just more articulate individuals, it's difficult to live in a world where thinking in a higher level or thinking in a complex, almost outside of the norm way is not that it's looked down upon, but it's made fun of. You're looked at as a weird person, as an individual who thinks that they're better than the rest, or as an individual who people may not take too serious. And you see it a lot with like artists. Like you see it a lot with guys like Robin Williams, Tom Hanks. Like these people, they kind of get dragged through the mud, but their genius is what their ultimate downfall is. And so people who decide to take their lives, you listen to them talk. Like I've listened to just an hour and a half of David Foster Wallace, and you can just tell when he's doing an interview. Like there's this interview that he did for a TV program, I think probably in 2000. It was 2003. His book came out in 1996. So at the time of the interview, the book was 7 years old. It was probably already one of the biggest books of all time. I've never read it. I have to read it. It's called Infinite Jest. It seems like it's a huge book. It's about 1,500 pages, so it's gonna be a bitch to read. Long, not like annoying. But he when he's talking to this person, you can tell that it's just an interview. Like he shouldn't take it too serious. But that's where people like him can't just decide what to take serious and what not to take serious. As he's talking, he's pissed. Like he's mad at himself. He wishes he didn't say what he said. He wishes that if he did say it a certain way, that he didn't say it that way and he said it this way. He's upset by these questions because these questions require the people who are working for the TV show or the person asking the question, they want a simple answer. Like they'll like Rita Skeeter from Harry Potter. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you would totally get that joke. If you're not, you should be a Harry Potter fan. You should go read Harry Potter. Brilliant. And I feel so dumb for saying that because Harry Potter is Harry Potter. So it's been around forever, and I've never read it before. Anyways, David Foster Wallace, you can just tell this anger he has and this frustration he has. And I get it. I get like it too sometimes when people ask me questions, and I can tell I stumble for like the first 30 seconds because it's just so complicated. The answer that I want to give you is the answer you don't want to hear. So it's conflicting. And so when you take someone like that and you put them in just this mundane world that we live in, where so many things are so obvious to him, and I see it too, where like people take the most insane things so serious, it's really hard to find the meaning in life. You know, it's really hard to find the meaning in life when people are arguing about two senile people to be president. When you know both of them are, when you know objectively both of them are very unfit. Both of them, one of them is paid off by all the biggest corporations, Joe Biden, and one of them is just a lunatic billionaire real estate cokehead. And when you have like these serious debates about like that these people are actually going to be the president of the United States of America, we have one of two choices between a horrible, just between two terrible choices. And this is what we're living with. And when you're someone like David Foster Wallace, the absurdity of it all makes you just go like, what's the point of anything? And it's like, it's conflicting, right? Because you want to so badly be like, hey man, like if you don't think that that's the point of something, go find the point of something. But as you're trying to go and find the point of something, you're outcasted more and more. And you can't really do that in this world that we live in. You need to play the game a little bit to survive. It's like that classic scenario. Well, if you don't like it, just get out. Or if you don't like something, just get out. It's like, well, you can't just get out of everything because you need cash. Like you need money to survive in this country, to survive in this world. You need money. But when you are someone like David Foster Wallace, or you're someone like Robin Williams, or you're someone like anybody who's who's a really articulate and intelligent artist, scientist a little bit different, but like if you're an artist, it's gotta be hard. And that's why I think artists have always been outcasted. That's why they always create their own things. And when they create their own things, it works really well and they're happy, and then people come in and take it. You know, people come in and they go like, oh, I like that. And then they take it from the artist. And then the artist is like, but that painting was never supposed to mean that. Like it's not supposed to be sold for millions of dollars. It's just a stupid painting I made. You know? It's goddamn, my nose is running like a mother. Ugh. It's so unprofessional. I don't know. So that's what I did this weekend. I listened to David Foster Wallace talk. I read a lot of Harry Potter. That's pretty much what I did all weekend. I was going to do 2 books at a time and then read a nonfiction book. 2 books at a time and then read a nonfiction book. But I think I might just plow through it. I'm almost done with book number 4. I'll be done with it probably by the time this next episode comes out, or episode 232 comes out. But I love it, dude. I love it, man. I would have been such a Harry Potter nerd. I'm not even kidding. I would have loved Harry Potter back in the day. Dude, back in the day, if I read, I didn't start reading, and this is like not upsetting to me. I don't get upset by it, but I do kind of get like, what if? You know, like that what if feeling, like, oh man, almost like a regret kind of thing. Like, what if I didn't pick up my first book at 21 or 22? What if I closed the cover on a book when I was 10? And what if between 10 to 20, I read 400 books? And then instead of 21 to 24, reading 100 books? You know? Like, what type of person would I be? And it's not like, I mean, you shouldn't think, I don't think you should think like that. I think that's conflicting, that's troubling. And I think the person that I am now is the person who enjoys reading as much as I do now is because I didn't do it as I was younger, and I didn't, like, I lived my whole life not reading. I lived my whole life learning things from people and learning how to listen to people and learning how to speak to people and learning how to make people feel spoken to. I never lived my life learning things from a book. And, you know, maybe the podcast came because I didn't read a book. You know, I could sit here and say, well, yeah, maybe if I did read from 10 to 20, a shit ton of books, maybe I would be a lot smarter. Maybe I could be at a different place in my life. But right now, I love where I am. I absolutely love where I am. I love having the podcast. I love reading. I love going to school. And I love working. And I feel really good about that. But there's always that what if. Like, what, especially when it comes to like intelligence. What if I could have been that much smarter? What if I did go to Harvard, but then I would hate myself because I went to Harvard? You know, I think it's tempting, like, right? It's tempting. It's like the apple and Adam and Eve. Like, it's tempting and you want to eat it, but you know you shouldn't eat it, and you know you shouldn't be upset that you didn't eat it. Like, you should stand by your choices. I think it's good to stand by your choices. It is not an exaggeration to call Wallace a genius. In fact, he won the MacArthur Genius Grant in 2008. He burst on the literary scene in 1987 when his senior thesis at Amherst College, The Broom of the System, was published to rave reviews. So that's that. What else is going on in my life? Something a little bit more personal, which I'll get into. I don't know if I should get into it as much as I want to. But as of recently, so as of Monday of this week, I have not been struggling lately. I've just been very much caught up in a cycle. And cycles are fine. Cycles are good. But sometimes you get caught in them. And sometimes when you get caught in them, it's really hard to recognize that you're in the washing machine and that you're spinning round and round and round. Sometimes you want to get out of the washing machine, but you don't know how you got into it. You don't know what got you in there. You don't know the path it took you to get into this washing machine. It's not that the washing machine's bad. It's just that you kind of want to get out of it, right? You kind of want to reestablish where your brain is. So, with that being said, I have decided to go to BetterHelp.com. I used Theo Von's podcast, and I got a discount. So I went ahead and I actually signed back up for therapy. It's not in-person therapy, which is kind of a bummer, but it is talk therapy. And I don't really want to explain exactly the reasons why I'm going there, but I can just kind of summarize it like this. There's really important things in your life. And there's some things in your life that there's some things in your life that enhance the rest of your life. And those enhancements that come off from the main thing, if those fail, that's okay. But if the things that enhance everything else, that stem root, like like if you look at a tree, like if a tree branch falls off a tree, it's fine. If the leaves fall off a tree, it's fine. Even if like the top starts to lean, it's totally fine. Even if it gets struck by lightning, like it's fine. But like the base of it, the soil, the nutrients, the thickness of the trunk, the girth of the trunk, the ability for the trunk to hold up the rest, even when a storm comes in and crushes it, is super valuable. And I would say that right now, my trunk is not failing, but it's got hit hard by a storm. And instead of just willy-nilly keep flying around in the wind, I think sometimes you should reel it back and you should fix the trunk before the trunk falls on you. And that's one of the first things I learned in therapy was to do that, was to, instead of letting things blow up and letting the Titanic sink, you should do your research and look ahead in the ocean and start taking care of the Titanic before it sinks. Especially with someone like me, like it kind of runs in my family, especially on the male side, that we tend to let things blow up into pieces. We tend to let the bomb drop on Japan before we decide that we should stop what we're doing. And I don't like that personality, genetic coding that's in me. And I want to break that. And I've had to recognize that it was not that it was going that way, but it could have gone that way. So I decided to sign up for therapy. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm starting therapy again. It's gonna be every Friday. And it's gonna be 30 minutes every Friday. It's talk therapy. It's I'm mainly just going to talk, right? Because I'm someone where I have all the answers, at least for me, to help myself, but I don't ever, besides the podcast, which is kind of funny, but I need to hear them. And I need people to parrot them back to me. And it's not fair for people in my life, family, girlfriends, friends, to be that person. And if I can pay someone to force them to listen to me, I feel like I can tell them anything. And it's literally, I'm paying them to just listen to me talk. $67 per session with a discount. And I don't have a sponsorship by BetterHelp, and I probably won't ever have a sponsorship by BetterHelp because I just threw out their prices on the internet, which they probably don't want out there. So lawsuit incoming, right? I'm just kidding. I don't get sued. My podcast is not big enough. Watch me get sued next week. Hey, Mike, you're getting sued by so-and-so. Cool, man. That's awesome. Very excited about that. I love getting sued. Sue would be so much fun. Yeah. So it's going to be 4 days a week or 4 times a month. I'm going to do it. Also, like, big things are happening for me too in my life. Like, going to be graduating school. So that's a huge deal. As they say, I'm going to be moving, right? So that's a huge deal. Moving to a different state, different city. So that's a big deal. Starting a new job. That's a big deal. Moving in with my girlfriend. So that's a big deal, even though we've been together for almost 5 years at this point. So it's like, what are you going to do? So like, those are 3 major events. And sometimes I think people go into these events and then just kind of hold their breath. But I want to prepare for them. I have a lot going on. And I want to prepare. I want to have the tools so when I go into it, I can succeed at the highest degree. Not just for me, but for her. And not just for her or me, but for us. And, we get a lot of compliments a lot. Like, you guys are a beautiful couple. You guys are really good together. But we work so hard on that. Like, and I don't want to give away too much of her stuff, but I'll give away my stuff. You have choices in a relationship. And for anyone who tell you that a relationship it's just gonna work out, it's like it's not how it works. It can. Like, ultimately, relationships only end if you break up with somebody. So you can live in hell if you want to, but if you don't break up with them, you're fine, right? You're still together technically. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to live in a relationship where you're happy with the person and there's a good line of communication and you trust the person and it's a healthy relationship, then when issues arise or you feel issues arise, you have to attack them. You got to solve them. And sometimes you don't solve them as a couple. Sometimes you got to solve them as an individual. And so when people say those things to us, it's like people don't realize like the work that we've put in. Just for me, I've put in the work. Like, I've really had to work hard on it. Like, the person that I was 6-7 years ago, she probably wouldn't be able to date because I probably wasn't a compassionate person. I probably wasn't a caring person. I was probably an egomaniac, honestly. I was insecure like a motherfucker. I wanted to take over the world. All I wanted to do was run businesses. All I wanted to do was make money. I was way too much Gary Vaynerchucking. I had my hands in way too many different places. But I wasn't doing good at anything. I was just I was very insecure with who I was. So I was trying to play a role so I didn't have to actually admit that I was fucking up. And that happens a lot to a lot of people. And in a relationship, you could probably get away with that for a year, but after a year, the veil comes down. And what do you do when the veil comes down? What do you do when you're naked in front of the crowd? Do you run off the stage saying, F you guys, I'm funny, or I'm pretty? Or do you put your clothes back on, go back behind stage, take care of it, work on yourself, come back out, and then make up and laugh again? Like, which one do you want to do? And I've chosen for a long time in my life, I would choose the first one. Fuck you. You mean nothing to me. I don't care. I don't need you. I'm a wolf. I used to just be so obsessed with like this idea of like, F the world. It's me versus the world. Like, I'm an alpha male. I don't need anybody. Like, and I think that's so attractive for men, especially for men. Because a guy doesn't need anybody, right? Like, at least, like, if you're a woman, you need somebody for, like, protection reasons. And it's not like we live in, like, the 14th century. You could probably get away with it pretty well. I'm not Don't come after me, feminists. By the way, a lot of feminists are not feminist. A lot of feminists are anti-female. And I mean that shit, dude. Girls judge each other so hard all the time. All the time. And what they have, they don't want. What they have, they want what the other girl has. I'm like, yo, dude, that's not women empowering. Empowerment is to embrace what you have, even if you're a fat log. You embrace that shit, right? I'm totally kidding. This candle's gonna burn out. Oh, it's probably on its last leg. You know what? Let's just make the switch now. You come over here, little friend, and I'll put you out. Smoking it out. Let all the bad aura out. Oh, that smells so good. The demons are coming for us. It's almost that time of the year where all the people who like to dress up get a free day to dress up. It's so cool, dude. Look at that. Just smoking. Look at me getting high as shit. Just kidding. I can't do that on this podcast. When I first started this podcast, I was like, I'm just like, I'm going to do 3 episodes a week. I'm just going to drink every episode and just shoot from the hip. And then I realized if I'm drinking 3 days a week and I'm working and I'm going to school, I'm just an alcoholic who talks into a mic. That's crazy. And I know I'm crazy, but I don't want to be that crazy. So then I stopped doing that. And I did 1 episode. It's probably so awkward. I wonder if I can find it with my dad. I'm just going to pull it up. What would it be? It would be called like just the episode with my dad. The Michael Labs show with my dad. Michael Labs dad. Yeah, my dad. Is that it? We did 2, I think. We did 1 on this one, and then we did another one way back in the day. This is an hour and a half of just my dad riffing it. He's such a stud. I don't have that shirt anymore. Great one, Mike. Your dad is a cool cat. I enjoyed hearing his experiences. That was from a buddy 2 years ago. God, time just changes so fast. I'm trying to see if we were drinking. But I wanted to first, like, when I started this podcast, like, I'm going to drink. And then I realized I'm not an alcoholic. If I drink 3 days a week, that would be bad for me, for my health. I probably shouldn't do that. Let me see. I can't. Fuck. Maybe that was with Charles I drank. No, we were definitely drinking. When did that drink get there, though?
And any country you go to in the world is going to have really bad history, and you just got to accept that. It's just like don't accept it. That's what it's weird. Yeah, but then you're right. They don't accept it, and then they try to go back and just erase it all. Yeah, what's that doing?
So cool.
Future generations. Talking about not knowing your history, then you're bound to repeat.
My dad's a G, dude. My dad's an absolute G. If you know me, you know my dad. Like that's kind of the dude that he is. Like I don't want to get too sappy. But my dad is like, he's the best. He's the best. He's a good guy. He has some of his demons, and he's trying to fight his demons. And it's hard for someone like me to watch someone you love go through hell. Sometimes when you go through hell, you don't even know you're in it, and that's difficult. That's difficult to watch someone that you love struggle, and you want so badly to help them, but when you're somebody like him, or when you're somebody who's like him, it's there's nothing you can do. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going back into therapy, because I felt myself kind of disconnecting from reality, just pulling myself out of it, kind of not getting lonely, but just allowing myself to like slip into the void. And I don't want to slip into the void. I like this world. I don't want to be a David Foster Wallace, because for me, the world does get confusing at times. I do find myself in conversations with the people that I realize I just want to fall off a tower. I do talk to people about silly things. I'm like, oh, God damn it, this is a waste of my time. What am I doing here? And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person who loses everything but had everything. I don't want I don't want to be that person. I refuse to be that individual. And I would do everything it takes all the time to make sure I'm not that. If that involves therapy, sign me up, bro. I don't care. It's a lot of money, but guess what? That's $267 to invest in my brain. Especially after all the things my brain has done for me. No. It's a huge investment. It's the best thing I can do. And I'm what's going to end up happening is I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to love it because I love it. I loved it the first time. The only reason why I stopped is because of COVID. COVID got it. COVID got the best of me. If it wasn't for that, I know I would still be going. Maybe 1 or 2 times a week. Maybe 1 time a month. Just keep myself on track. It's beautiful. It's fun. It's a good time. You're not a bitch if you go. I know a lot of tough dudes who are savages who go, who have gone, who've used it before in the past and taken tips from it. And it's like those days of saying it's for the weak is over. It's for the strong. If you want to actually save yourself and help yourself, you're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for the people around you. And that's a hero, in my opinion. For somebody who's willing to sign themselves up for something to save other people and themselves, that's Superman. That's Superman. That's the definition of Superman. To take care of yourself so you can help the people around you. And that's what it is. And that's what it is, man. And here's another thing that it is what it is before I end this podcast. I am bullish on the stock market. I'm not bearish. And if you're bearish on the stock market, I don't need you in my life. October's going to be a savage month, dude. Bitcoin's already up 9% this week. Dogecoin's already up 5% this week. Ethereum's already up 8% this week. The stock market's down this week as of right now. And that could change when I get off this podcast episode. But what do I want to talk about it? Yeah, I'll talk about it. The final thing I wanted to just talk about a little bit. First of all, I want to apologize for the last episode. I wasn't feeling it last week. I wasn't angry. I was just a lot on my plate, like schoolwork wise. I had to really pay attention. I had to wrangle my group in to kind of get an assignment done that most of them wanted to do, but some people had other ideas. They weren't feeling good, so they couldn't do a stupid online assignment. Whatever. I don't care. I'm at the point in my life where it's like, I'm 25, dude. I'm in school with kids. I forget that. I'm in school with kids, and I can't get mad at them. 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, you don't want to do schoolwork, especially when you're on Zoom. Fuck out of here, dude. I don't want to do that. I'm 25. So it's I get it. I'm empathetic, but so wasn't in the best mood last week. So that's why there was no video of episode 230. There was just audio. I tried to put something together on YouTube, but I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't want to do it. And it wasn't the best episode. It was only 24 minutes, 20 minutes. And I don't even know what I was rambling about. I probably covered nothing valuable at all. But I'm gonna save for next episode. I've been changing up my diet lately. I'm finally taking the steps healing myself. Jesus Christ, dude. I a week and a half ago, I just broke. I'll get into it with you guys on episode 232, but I was making every excuse in the world to just eat whatever the I wanted to eat and just binge out of my mind, just lose my mind. And I was when you're an alcoholic, well, I guess you don't know. I'm not an alcoholic, but whenever you're an addict, you make up the best excuses to say that what you're doing is totally fine. Well, I was kind of doing that. I was 100%, not kind of. I was 100% doing that. So I've taken a few, not drastic measures. It's easy for me. That's why I'm not an addict, because if I recognize it and I do change, I don't relapse. I don't do it again. I was taking Adderall for a while because I was prescribed it. And then I realized I don't feel good on it. So I just stopped and haven't touched it since. Even though it's a magical drug, even though I could take it right now and kick ass and get all my schoolwork done. But I don't want it because I know it's not good. And I know I hate the way I feel after it goes down. Even though I'm using it, it's amazing. I don't have that addict brain. If I know why I should fix it, I'll fix it. It's just that simple for me. I'll fix it. Now I did buy like different stuff to kind of replace the Adderall, like 5-HTTP, and then like this pre-workout stuff that I use for my workout, but it has tyrosine in it. But I have been making major changes in that realm of things, and it's been helping me a lot. It really has. Like the way I've been eating, it was rough there for a while, but it's pretty much all better now. I'm still recovering a little bit here and there, but like stuff like this, my good old therapist is gonna be able to listen to, which is always cool. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to school ending. Look forward to a lot of things. But David Foster Wallace, shout out to that guy. What a savage. I'm gonna read Infinite Jest. I might order it. I have 7 books I want to read right here. Actually, only 5. Blink, I think I've already read it. Bill Bryson, The Lost Continent. I don't know. I found them in the attic, and I don't think books should be in the attic. But there's like 3 books on God that like some guy got me. I don't want to read, but I feel like I should read. I have 5, 6, 7 of Harry Potter, and then I have 3, 4, 5, 7. I have 10 books I have to read, and then I'm gonna start buying books again. So hopefully I get all 10 of those books done by summer of next year, maybe a little bit earlier. One of these books is super long, Meaning and Nothingness. The Principal Text of Modern Existentialism. It's like a 2,000-page book. So I kind of want to read that book between Harry Potters, but I don't know if I will because that will be a lot of reading. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Not that it'd be a lot of reading, but it would just I'm caught up in the Harry Potter world. Like Taylor and I went and got butterbeer without alcohol. Guys, thank you so much for listening. That was episode 231. I'll catch you guys in episode 232 of the Micro Lab Show. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys in episode 232 of the Micro Lab Show. Peace out. See you.